manager to help get the Infinity machine out the door. All of these are kind of my babies. I worked in product development for a lot of years until about last year, where I moved over into the marketing, education, website world, and working more in that area now.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And I'm so excited to have Sarah on this live with me today. Sarah's actually the reason why I'm at Handi Quilter. She's the first person who was like, hey, you should come and work for this company. So it's very, very fun to have.
We were in a local modern quilt guild, and we met each other, and I was like, hey, she knows her stuff. She's got an education background. Let's see what we can do there. So,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And how long ago did you start?
I've been with Handi Quilter for almost 8 years now.
That's been a while.
So yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. So yeah, so we're so excited to have all of you joining us today for Quilt Fest. We wanted to start out with some really great, exciting news. So we have got some really fabulous promos going on this week, don't we?
Yes, we do. Right now, if you are in the mood for a pro stitcher or a machine with a pro stitcher, we have really, really great deals going on those right now. And I know we have Brianne and Lily that are behind the camera. They're waving, but you can't see it. So that's fine. You can always type in questions to them. They will go ahead and they will answer. And they will also drop the phone number that you can call at any point while we're live here over the next few days. And you'll be able to talk to somebody about what those promos are, who your retailer is, what all that is going to look like. So that's what we have going on for machines. We also have right now on our website on handiquilter.com 15% off of all of our gadgets and accessories with the code, I got to look over here, HQQF. And I bet Brianne or Lily are going to go ahead and put that in the comment section for you so that you have that there for you.
Exactly.
Now, I forgot to mention on any of our machines, so right now our Pro Stitchers and Pro Stitcher with a long arm machine are on sale. If you call now or in the next few days here and you go ahead and order a machine, any machine will also come with free shipping, which is a really great value as well.
It is. It is. You're going to save yourself literally hundreds of dollars with that free shipping. It really is a great discount. It's very, very special. We've also got a special something that we're going to be giving away during this segment.
Yes.
So we need you to be sure and comment with HQ100. And then your name will be put into a drawing that we'll be doing a little bit later, sometime in the next couple of hours, for a $100 gift certificate to use at handiquilter.com. You could buy a lot of fun accessories with $100, right?
What would you buy?
Oh, definitely batting scissors.
Batting scissors.
Because I can't have enough of those.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd probably get some more rulers.
Would you? Yeah. What's your favorite ruler?
Yeah. You know, lately I've been doing a lot of curved crosshatch. So the flip side.
Those are good.
Is a really good one to use.
Yep. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. I think I would always stock up on needles. I think I'm very practical and I go through those, and I am a firm believer every quilt deserves a new needle. It really just can prevent so many things from going wrong. And, you know, we spend so much time and money and energy and effort on a quilt top. Just put a new needle in every time. So that's my soapbox for today. But I would buy some needles for sure.
Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. You know, and along that line, I'd probably get some more bobbins too, because you can always use more bobbins, right? And so, yeah, $100. Yeah, it goes a long way towards
I love the purple bobbins in the box. That's a great. Those are really fun.
They're really fun.
Helps keep them all organized and in one spot too.
Exactly, and they're purple.
Yeah. And they're purple. Oh.
The United States or Canada?
Great question. So we had a question about free shipping. That is only applicable to the 48 states. Is it
the lower
48
continental states. 48 states? How many? We always hear it lots of different ways.
I know, right? Yeah. So U.S. only minus Hawaii and Alaska.
Yes.
Good question.
Exactly. Now, some of you might be wondering why we're doing this live like this, because it is definitely a little different than something we've done in the past. Well, we know the secret's out, but we wanted to let everybody know and to be able to get in on this because our prices are going up on July 1st. So we really wanted to get the word out so that everybody would know about the great promotions we've got going on and about the fact that if you have been teetering about buying a long arm, right now is definitely the time to do it before prices go up. You can lock in that price. You can call today and take advantage of it, and you'll be finishing quilts before you know it.
Yes. Yeah. So prices are going up July 1st. That includes all of our machines and all of our accessories. So just kind of across the board, it really varies. We tried to limit it as much as we could,
Mhm.
but prices will be going up. So great opportunity,
Yep.
particularly if you're interested in getting a pro stitcher machine. Really, really great time right now.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So Sarah and I were talking about some fun things that we could share with you this morning. So one of the things we want to talk about is our full machine lineup, but then we're like, you know what? Let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So we want to start with talking about a little bit about the history of Handi Quilter. I think this is something that a lot of people aren't aware of.
Yeah.
So Handi Quilter was founded by a gal named Laurel Barris. And I absolutely love that I work for a company that was founded by a woman.
Right.
Don't you?
And she was an aggressive quilter herself.
Yes.
She has a really fun story. Do you want to share a little of it? I
Sure.
think it's really inspirational. And I think we really try to carry that, that inspiration and that character all the way through what we do today. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Laurel Barris lives here locally for us here in Utah.
Yep,
She
Salt Lake
lives
City.
Salt Lake City.
Just
Yep.
north of Salt Lake City,
Just
Utah.
north of Salt Lake City. And in the late 90s, she was doing a lot of quilting for other people. But she loved to go up and visit her cabin on the weekends. But, you know, Longarm, late 90s, think about the long arms that were going on back then in the late 90s. This is not something that you load up in the back of your car and take to the cabin for a weekend. So she was trying to come up with a solution for this. And she comes from a family of engineers. So Laurel's like, I can solve this problem. So she figured out and she created, and this is a little trivia something for all of you, the original Handi Quilter was a frame that clamped onto a table that you put your domestic sewing machine on, and then you quilted quilts with it. So she created this frame and she thought, this is really great. I bet other people are going to want to purchase this. So she went to Houston and the big quilt festival there. She went to the market section of it and she launched her new frame, and it just took off like gangbusters, didn't it?
Yeah, she thought, she was like, if I sell just a few or whatever, I'll pay for my costs and maybe I can spread some joy and love and inspire some other people and make it easy for them. And apparently by lunchtime on the first day, she was, guys, we're going to need a lot more.
Calling her supplier to make sure that she'd be able to cover the orders. And luckily he's a confident guy and he's like, yeah, absolutely, no problem. So they sold the Handi Quilter clamp-on frame for a few years. And then she decided that she wanted to engineer a machine that would fit on this frame because she wanted more throat space. I mean, isn't this the thing that people always want?
Right. When you have your home sewing machine, you might only have a few inches, maybe 6 inches at the most, plus your poles, and you can barely do a little squiggly line, and then you have to advance. So
exactly.
She quickly outgrew that and wanted something a little bit larger that she could get quilts done faster.
Exactly. So the cool thing was she hired a mechanical engineer and electrical engineer, and they sat at her kitchen table and designed the original Handi Quilter. So how many of you out there are familiar with as we are vintage now, we like to call it the HQ16. So she engineered this, and we have this great story about her sitting at her kitchen table with these engineers, and she's trying to explain what she wants the handlebars to look like, and it was just not communicating with her speaking to them. So she went over to one of her drawers, opened it up, took out her box of tin foil, and she actually formed that first handle. I actually have at my desk. I know I have the handle that I show retailers when they come for training. So it's really cool that she was able to just get it done. There was a lot of pushback in the sewing machine industry that she wouldn't be able to develop a machine that would work. Nobody would take her seriously because she was a woman, and she proved everybody wrong, which really, it makes me proud.
I'm very proud. Very proud. She was actually just up here last month or so. We all got to sit down and chat with her. And have lunch with her, and it really is just inspirational. And I love just what you said. She really knew what she wanted in a long arm. It was, she was the one quilting, and she said, I want it to be this comfortable. I want it to be ergonomic. And another big thing that she really wanted, which we have still today, is she wanted it to be beautiful. And not an ugly eyesore in her home studio, in her home. And so she had the white casting, that's what we call the body of the machine here. And she wanted it to have pretty lines and and feel like it was a part of the home and not just this kind of ugly eyesore.
Yeah.
So she really brought, I think, a lot of the things that quilters really wanted into the long arm market at a really early pivotal stage, which has been really fun to watch and see how things have grown.
Yeah, they really, really have. So she took that original HQ16 and, you know, after a few years, she decided that she wanted to focus more on being a grandma and quilting. And I mean, who can blame her?
Yeah.
I totally get that. And so she exited out of the company, and we've had a different group leading us since then, which has been fantastic. But we have still very much stuck by our tagline, by quilters, for quilters. And we are part of the team that helps with product development. Sarah and I both are. And we're both, as Sarah told you guys, she is an aggressive quilter. I am an aggressive quilter. We come in on Monday mornings and say, so what project were you working on over the weekend? And we're even like texting each other over the weekend. Hey, check out what I'm working on. Can you help me out with this? What do you think about this?
Or my favorite, do you have any of this fabric in your stash? I need this much more.
Yes, I just need a fat quarter. Please tell me you still have some of that Tula or whatever. So yeah, definitely.
Oh, can I talk about the quilts behind me?
Yes,
sure.
let's do.
Let's see. So this one right behind me with all the different rainbow color. This is one that I did, I don't know if it's 7 years ago or so-ish. My mom is also a quilter. And we decided we would go on a quilt cruise together. She lives in California. I live in Utah. So it was a really fun way for us to get away without grandkids or any other distractions and just go and have a fun time. And we went on a quilt cruise, and Tula Pink was one of the teachers there. And so this is a pattern from her. It was all her fabrics, and we put it together. And I don't know if it's going to show very well, but I'm going to bring it up here.
Oh,
I even had her sign one of the blocks. So it's kind of hard to see, and it's no big deal there. But it's really fun. So that's what this one is. Yeah, and I just did an all over edge to edge there. Real simple. I love to quilt. I love to get through a lot of quilts. Free motion can take a lot of time, as fun as it can be. As it is to have something nice and custom, sometimes it's just nice to get things taken care of with the old Pro Stitcher there. And so that just a nice all over pattern. I didn't want to take away from the piecing. It has so many of her fun different fabrics in there. So yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Oh, it's such a gorgeous quilt. I absolutely love that one. All the color. All the color.
Yeah. I busted out in the summer, and it like just kind of brightens up everything.
It really does.
So yeah. And in case anybody's asking, I think that the pattern for hers, she has never made public. She really kept it just to the people that went to the quilt cruise. So I don't think it's available.
Limited edition.
Limited edition, right?
Edition. I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, so a little bit more about the history of Handi Quilter. So we had started with the HQ16. We've had other machines along the way. Why don't we start talking about some of the machine lineup from when you joined the company?
Great. Yes, like I said, I started about 12 and a half years ago. Again, I came in as a project manager. The Infinity machine had already been in development, but it kind of needed a little help along the way. And as Kim was talking about, we always want to have quilters having lots of input and involvement in that development process. And so I came in and I worked with our team of engineers. I can't remember how many, I think we had 6 maybe at the time. We actually have 8 full-time engineers here on staff that work just downstairs. And they develop all of our products and accessories and updates and improvements and all of that sort of thing. So I worked with them to get the machine out. And so at the time we had the Infinity, we had the Fusion, we had the Avante, we had the Sweet 16. That was our product.
And the Pro Stitcher.
And the Pro Stitcher. So that was sort of our product lineup. And as I came in, it just felt a little we had machines kind of all over. It's very important for us. We really want to have a machine lineup that has a machine for everybody. So no matter where you are in your budget or in your journey, if you're doing 1 quilt a year, if you're doing a quilt a day, whatever it is, that we will have the right machine for you. So we really started thinking about what that meant long term and how we could create products and develop products that were kind of sustainable in development and in being able to support them. And so we have a family lineup of machines. It was really it was very fulfilling a few years back when I went to a local quilt shop, and all of the machines that were in there were my babies, and they were all in our families. And it was like this really proud moment that I had of all of our hard work here. So we do. Should we go ahead and jump into our? So over here, we're standing in front of the Moxie family. This is the newest family. When I came in, we really wanted to accommodate people that, you know, either were price sensitive, didn't have a ton of money to spend on them, maybe didn't have a ton of space, totally also legit, and also maybe didn't want or need all the bells and whistles. It can be really intimidating, right? If we're used to just our sewing machines and finishing it that way, to walk in and see, oh my gosh, what is this big giant thing? And I'm never going to need all of that. I just want something I can walk up to, hit start, and just start stitching away and finishing my quilts. So that was really our motivation and our thought process behind the Moxie family.
Yeah. And the Moxie family, so it currently has 3 different models in it, right? With 2 of which, well, technically, 2 of which we have sitting here. So we have this first one right here. This is the original Moxie. And let's talk about some of the features of this machine specifically.
Yeah, great. I think one of the things that we first think about when we think about features in the machine is what we call throat space. And when we call throat space, what we're talking about is the space from the back of the machine here to where the needle is up front. In our home, on our domestic sewing machines, like we said, it could be a few inches. I think the most I've seen maybe is like 8 inches or 9, somewhere around there. And what it's not, you know, it's the space that counts, but what that really means is what we're getting after is quilting space. Right? How much space can I quilt? Can I quilt a 12-inch block? Can I quilt a 16-inch block? How many times do I have to advance? And so, yes, it's better, I guess you could say, to have more throat space, but that also means you have to have more room. And so it's just a preference of what you have space and budget for and how often you're going to be using it. So this is what we would call the shortest throat space, 15 inches. Which translates to what about quilting space?
So I always take about 6 inches away because that leaves room for the quilt to build up on the take-up hole. So I know that I'll be able to quilt up to a 9-inch block the entire length of the quilt, is what I recommend for people to do.
Yeah. The next big thing that we'll talk about with when we're talking about machine features is generally speed. Right. And none of us are going to sit here and say you need to be a speed demon, and that's not the point, right? None of us do this great work doing it. Well, I shouldn't say. There are some out there, and good on you for those that do. The majority of us, it's not necessarily about how fast you can do it, right? But what it is about being able to not outrun the stitch regulator, right? And so that's really where we got into the really cool part about Longarms, is having a complete built-in stitch regulator. And what that means is that the machines are able to, and all of these are on movable frames. So as you're moving, the wheels are going to tell the machine how fast or how slow to move that needle. And what we're really getting at is a perfect consistent stitch length. So as you're speeding up or slowing down, it's going ahead and doing that for you. So you have a really nice consistent stitch length. And what we care about with speed is sometimes, some of us, you can get a little excited and maybe you're coming in and out of a star point or something like that, and you go a little too fast. And the nice thing about having machines that maybe go a little bit faster than this one is they will be able to keep up with that. But this one goes 1,500 stitches per minute. So that's the speed of this one.
Exactly. And it's nice because you can adjust those stitches per inch too. So if you're doing really fine detailed work, we can shorten that stitch length so that like those tiny little pebbles are perfectly round. Right. We get all those nice little micro fills if you want to do. You can absolutely do all of that kind of stuff on the Moxie, which is really great. We have nice lighting right at the needle. We do. And I'm trying to think, some of my other favorite things about the Moxie is just how cute the machine is.
It's cute. It's so small. Cute. It's, you know, it's our least expensive machine. It really is great for those customers who just want to come in, turn the machine on, hit the button, and just stitch away, right? Like Kim says, it has everything, all the basics that you need. You can adjust your stitch length. You have speeds. It really is a wonderful little machine.
It really is. And okay, so and here's the question. So even though it's our like entry-level machine, Can I add automation to this?
Yes, all of our machines,
Grab something to
you're
drink.
good.
Okay.
All of our machines that are what we call movable, which go on a traditional long arm frame that have the handlebars that you're moving, you can add our robotics, our computerized system, which is our Pro Stitcher system. You can add on while you buy it brand new, you can add on to it years down the road. So yes, you're able to do that.
And I absolutely love that option. You can always add a Pro Stitcher later. If you're,
Yep.
you know, you're budgeting,
Right.
or you just don't have, you feel like you're not ready for it, whatever those things are, you can always add it later.
Yeah, and I've heard people say, well, I knew if I had bought a Pro Stitcher right at the beginning, I never would have pushed myself to do the free motion. And I don't think it should ever be either or. I know I default a lot to Pro Stitcher just because of a busy schedule and things like that. But I love free motion. When I do get around to custom quilt, I love it. I love to mix both.
Yep.
So you can use Pro Stitcher to maybe outline a block or do something, and then you can do some free motion fills. It's not one or the other. And so I like that we can add it anytime as well.
Exactly. I also love that with the Moxie, as with all of our other machines, I can do ruler work because we've got ruler bases that we can put on it.
Yep.
And also, if you don't want to add a Pro Stitcher, but you still want to have kind of that comfort of following the line while you're quilting, you can always add the quilt from the back kit and then quilt with either pantographs or groovy boards, which are both really great options if you're maybe not feeling as
It's
confident. I'm like, what's the word I'm looking for here? Confident in
Yeah.
your free motion quilting, or you just want the consistency of a consistent edge to edge. Pantographs is a great way to do that. Groovy boards is a great way to do that. And it's something that you can easily add to any of our machines.
Yeah, I think of it as like training wheels or bumper lanes as you're getting going. And I think what you said right there, sometimes when you're first starting, and we know this when we were quilting on our domestic home sewing machines too, that consistency, right, of a stipple or whatever you're doing, or a loop or a flower or a star, keeping it consistent, the size and the spacing, and it's just practice. You guys, nobody is born a quilter. It's all practice and just getting, that muscle memory. I always tell people to doodle, 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 and when you're doodling, never lift up your pen, because that's going to help you not get
learn your quilt pattern.
Yeah, learn your quilt pattern and not get bunched in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Well, I think we've done a lot of good talking about the Moxie. How about if we move up to the next one in the line? So this is the Moxie XL. So let's talk a little bit about it.
Okay. Well, first thing, we'll talk about throat size. So here with the Moxie machine, we had 15 inches. And with the Moxie XL, we go up to 18 inches. So you're getting 3 more inches. And that may not sound like a ton, but if we're talking about being able to consistently do a 9 or 10 inch block, now you're able to do a 12 or a 13 inch block very consistently without having to advance or unadvance the quilt, right?
Exactly.
The speed also goes up. So here we went from 1,500 stitches per minute to 1,800 stitches per minute. And again, not that we should saying that you should be always quilting like a speed demon, but again, it just prevents you from actually outrunning your stitch regulations so you don't get long stitches.
Exactly.
The other really big upgrade that we go from the Moxie original to the Moxie XL is the display. So we have a full color touchscreen display. It's not that you cannot change options here on the Moxie. It just, you have to do it through the handlebars. I always compare, and this is going to date me and make me a little nerdy, but for those of you that maybe played on a original Nintendo Entertainment System, and when you were booting up Mario Brothers or Mortal Kombat or whatever your jam was, and you had to do like the cheat code of A, B, B plus, up, down, right, left, it's sort of the same sort of thing. Whereas on the Moxie XL, you can just go ahead and tap the things that you want. It can be done both ways, just makes it a little bit easier over there.
Exactly. Exactly. Another thing that I really love about the Moxie XL is we were able to add in a little bit of extra light. So there's actually this little extra light right here behind the needle that shines into the throat space. So we have light shining directly down onto where your needle is and then into the throat space. So you've got just a little bit better lighting, which is great. I don't know if any of you are experiencing this in your life, but I'm starting to hit that point where all of a sudden it's like, wait, I can't quite, I need more light. So more light is always good.
And Kim, both you and I know we've both had long arms in the basement without good lighting. So lighting cannot be underestimated. I remember when I first started here, again, we were working on the Infinity machine with the engineers, And they came in and they said, well, how about this light? It was the first machine that had the under throat lighting, had a light strip built in that was underneath the throat here, right? And they brought it in and I said, well, that's good. Can it be brighter? And they were like, well, does it need to be brighter? Won't that hurt their eyes? And I said, you guys, I want it like the Las Vegas Strip, just light it up and then be able to go down from there, because it's so important to be able to see what you're doing. You get shadows, your room may not have a ton of light. And so anyway, that is very helpful. Yes, need to be able to see what you're doing.
And we have a question.
Can you use Pro Stitcher with the table, or do you need a long arm frame?
Okay, so the question is, can you use Pro Stitcher with the table, or do you need to have a machine that's on a frame? Pro Stitcher is only for machines that are what we call frame mounted. So it means like a stand-up machine, a machine that's on a frame that you move the machine from side to side and then front to back. Pro Stitcher doesn't go on the machines that we call stationary machines, that you would be the one moving the fabric. As we like to say it, there's machines that you go like this and you move the machines, and then there's machines that go like this where you move the fabric.
That's the technical terms.
Very, very technical terms. Yes, another question.
How do you decide what patterns to make for Pro Stitcher?
Oh, this is a question we
the
get all the
question
time.
is how do you know which patterns to make or to do for Pro Stitcher? Go ahead.
So how do you pick a pattern for your quilt? Well, there's lots and lots and lots of different ways to do that. It just depends on the quilt. We have a really popular video, if you on our YouTube channel, look for it. It's called How Do I Quilt It? And we go through this whole thing, and it gives you lots of different ideas on how to pick a pattern to use on your project.
So they want to know how we choose patterns.
How we choose patterns?
To put on Pro Stitcher.
Okay, sorry. We did not quite understand that
misunderstood.
question. So the question is, how do we pick which patterns end up in the Pro Stitcher Designs library?
Because when you purchase Pro Stitcher, either light or premium, it does come with a set of free designs. And it comes with an assortment of blocks, of edge to edges, triangles, that has a few other, has a few other
all kinds of stuff.
Now with premium, I think you get close to 800 to 1,000 free designs. And off the top of my head, with Pro Stitcher Lite, is it 250 or 350?
It's just about 300.
About 300 free designs come with that.
Yeah.
So go ahead. How do we pick which ones we go through?
Okay, so the designs that come with Pro Stitcher Lite are our PS Designs library, and those are all designs that were created what we call in-house. So the educators, the Handi Quilter Studio educators, mostly from years past, I haven't been too involved in this. I don't have time anymore. I wish I did. Created a lot of these designs, and they're really great basic designs that you will use all the time. So it's classic designs like clamshells and Baptist fans and wishbones and flowers and all that great, really good, solid basic stuff that we all love to use all the time. And then when we move up to Pro Stitcher Premium, we have an additional library in there that are featured designers. And what we've done is, within the digital quilting industry, I guess you would say, or community, we have reached out to people who have websites or designers that sell their patterns. And we've said, hey, would you like to have some of your patterns included in the Pro Stitcher library? And we've had so many people send us patterns. And so that's where a lot of those patterns come from. It's really great because you get a chance to try out a lot of different styles, and you can find designers that have patterns that you really enjoy, and then always look them up and get more of their work. But I got to tell you, I have been quilting with a Pro Stitcher for 10 years, 10 years now. And it's pretty rare that I purchase a design. We have so many great designs. I pretty much use the designs that come with Pro Stitcher.
We do. Or I've purchased a couple and I just seem to kind of reuse those over and over.
It's true. It's true. We have like our basic standards that we just love, right?
Yeah, I know that they're, I like my quilt tops, generally speaking, to stand out a little bit more. And so I'm not looking for really dense or quilting designs that are going to take away from it. Now, sometimes you do want that. And it really just depends on the quilt. But I like it. You can figure out what works for you, what you like, what you don't like. And then again, you can go buy other ones that fit your needs.
Exactly. It's one of the great things about using Pro Stitcher is just that flexibility. You can use any designs. One of the things that's really cool too, with Pro Stitcher Premium, it comes with a second set of software that's called Pro Stitcher Designer, and it allows you to edit and create your own quilting designs. It does not come with Pro Stitcher Lite, but you can always purchase it at prostitcher.com. And it's already integrated into the system.
Yep.
And so you can use that too. So if you're creatively inclined and you want to create your own digital quilting designs, that is really fun and really easy to do. One of the coolest things, and this works once again, any of the Pro Stitcher systems, you can record a design that you are stitching and then save it and reuse it. So if you are a free motion person and you love that, you can create your own digital quilting designs that way too. So a lot of flexibility with what we can do.
Yep. Okay, should we move on to the Amara line, or do we have anything else that we want to talk about with the Moxie line?
The Moxies, I think.
Yeah, and just so you guys are aware, we are planning after we go through the machines, we are going to talk about frames, because I know frames are a big deal, the space that you have, what the setup is like. So we're going to come back to which frames work with each different machine and machine family here at the end. But we thought we'd just kind of go through and really walk through the machine families, pros and cons, all of that kind of thing with those first.
Absolutely. One little note though about frames. Frames are included with our machines. They're not separate. They are part of the package shell.
Yeah, if you go online or to a retail shop or whatever, and you see a pricing, that is going to include a frame, bobbin winder, an extra foot, extra needles, a thread pack, oil for your bobbin case. You know, we really want to give you everything that you need to get started. So all you have to provide is your quilt top, backing, and batting, and you are in thread, or you can even use some of the free thread that comes with it, and you're ready to go.
Exactly.
You know, I mentioned something just there, our retailers. And I don't think we've talked about our retailer network, right?
We haven't. Yeah, so we are so lucky to have a huge network of retailers. We have, I think it's getting close to 400 retailers nationwide and around the world. Handi Quilter is sold everywhere. Sarah and I both recently were down under in Australia, and there's a very strong network of dealers down there too. So you can find your local retailer really easily on the Handi Quilter website. Just in the top corner, there's a button you can click on that says Find a Retailer, and you can put in your zip code, and it will point you to your closest retailer. So we have retailers all over, everywhere.
And the thing is, you know, this is a big investment. There's a lot of learning, and that really is done best through our retailers that are close to you, that you can go to their shops. They can come to you if needed. They can really be more accessible and more helpful. And so we love our retailers. Every one of them has to come here. They bring a technical person that comes through and kind of learns to be the tech person. They take apart machines. They give them kind of their service. They do basic troubleshooting and repairs. Then they bring, typically it's the store owner, some sort of an educator type person who really learns all the features of the machines, how to use them, how to use Pro Stitcher, how to use the basic accessories, so that when you walk into there, they are experts on the machine, both from how to use it and which one is right for you, as well as being able to help you from a technical perspective, because these aren't easy always to ship either, right? We do tell you to keep your box, but it's always best as local as it can be.
Exactly.
Now, Kim, you are our studio education manager, right?
I am.
And one of your big responsibilities here is also to manage our team of field educators. So go ahead and talk about them and how they interact with our retailers.
So we are super lucky. We have 35, we call them national educators or field educators, that live all over the US and Canada. And they travel around and do events, in-person events, at our local retailers. We do over 300 events a year. So there are events happening all over all the time. And to support this, we also have 6 vans and 2 trucks that have classrooms of machines on them. Now, I know that when I say that, you guys are instantly going, how do you fit people in a van and do long arms? Well, let me tell you how it is. The machines are packed in there. And when they arrive at the retailer's location, wherever the retailer is holding their event, they pull everything off the van and set up the classroom. The same thing with the truck. That's just the mode of how we get them from place to place. So just to clear that up a little bit. So these are for what we call our hands-on events. And if it's with a van, if you have the van coming, that means that there's going to be 6 machines set up. And if it's the truck, it means there's going to be 12 machines set up. And if there's 6 machines, you're going to get to meet one of our fabulous field educators. And if there are 12 machines, you're going to get to meet 2, and they're going to team teach you. And these events are fantastic. They're happening every weekend, pretty much across the US. Canada has their own program and does it too, but these are really fantastic events. On social media, you can definitely follow and see all the great things that the educators are doing. But they're out there doing really fun stuff.
Yeah, it's a really, really great opportunity for you to go in at a local event, right? Maybe only have to drive half an hour, a couple hours. You can go in, you can test drive the machines, really get to know them, get some basic education and build that confidence, because this can be a little intimidating, right? You look at these big machines, they're physically big, they cost money, but you know what? It's just practice, it's just learning, anybody can do it, and they can really boost that confidence so that you know that you're going to be successful when you do have one in your house. You can go on to handiquilter.com and you can find an event, and you can see if there's anything coming near you, and you can register that way.
Exactly. Yeah, we have lots of great information on our website, so be sure and click around there and take a look at all of that stuff. So I think we're ready to move over here.
We got detoured there.
We'll scooch over here.
We're going to scooch over to the Amara family here.
The Amara family.
All right. We have, again, same sort of thing. We have 3 basic machines in each family. So with the Moxie, we have the 15-inch, the 18-inch, and then we didn't really talk about it, but we do have a stationary version as well. And so again, that's one where you're moving the quilt and not moving the machine.
Exactly.
Same sort of thing with our Amara. We have the Amara 20, we have the Amara 24, and then we have the Amara stationary. And you say, Sarah, what is this 20 and 24 that you're speaking of? And again, that's kind of one of the first features that we always are talking about, and that is the throat space.
Exactly.
So the Amara 20 has 20 inches of throat space, and the Amara 24 has 24 inches of throat space. The next thing we talk about a lot is speed. So we went from the 1500 to the 1800 stitches per minute, and now we're going up to 2500 stitches per minute. And I have been actually using an Amara 24 for quite a few years now, and I've never outrun that stitch regulator. And I actually do quilt a little on the faster side, if we were talking honestly about it. A little bit. They're teasing me.
Aggressive quilter. Remember this.
I just like to get through things.
You got to get it done. I get it. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Crank that speed up.
We have, we talked about how we had a touch screen on the XL. We have an even bigger touch screen on the Amara family. Lots of different options on there. We have a full light throat lighting here. So underneath this throat, there's a full light as well as around the needle. Again, never have too much light. It's always adjustable, because sometimes you do get like a weird contrast, or sometimes if you have a certain color of thread on a certain color of fabric, you are able to make some adjustments as you need to in your home. The other thing that we start getting into is some really cool features. So a few of my favorite is the pinpoint needle laser. Tell us about the pinpoint needle laser.
So I absolutely love this. What it does is it puts a little dot, a little laser dot, when the machine is turned off, and it shows exactly where that stitch is going to be taken. So you have this precision of being able to line up before you start stitching and know exactly where you're going to be placing that first stitch. I especially love this when you combine either one of these machines with a Pro Stitcher, because I can go through and set up areas and pinpoint exactly where I'm going to be placing that design on my quilt. And I have this level of accuracy that's just perfect.
Yeah, it's really nice. You know exactly where that needle is going to drop, whether it's for free motion, if you need to pick up on the tip of a flying geese block, or like Kim was saying, if you're setting something for Pro Stitcher, you know exactly where you're setting it on there. So that's one of my favorite features. Another favorite feature I have with the Amara family is the tie-off button. Go ahead and tell us about the tie-off button.
So one thing that's really cool, on the handlebars, we have programmable buttons. And one of your options is to program it, let me say that correctly, program it so that it will do a tie-off. So what it does is you push that button, or you touch the button on the touch screen, and then you just give the machine a little wiggle, and you program it so that it will take 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 7, like quick little stitches. And because you're just slightly moving the machine, it's like doing teeny tiny little tack stitches. So you don't have to bury your threads
Yeah.
because I don't know about any of you guys, but I do not have time to be doing that.
Yeah.
And I know when I stitch, I want to have those stitches secure so that when I take my quilt off and I wash it, because I do quilts that get used.
All washer and dryer here.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
I don't have to worry about any of those stitches coming out. So that tie off is really awesome. You can do it at the beginning and at the end and have confidence that nothing's going to pull out.
Yeah, not all of us are doing, award level quilts here. And so sometimes it is just nice to just be able to hit the button. It ties it off. You're secure. You're ready to start stitching. You mentioned the programmable handlebar buttons. We also have adjustable handlebars, and walk us through why that is important.
Oh, so if you are a quilter who you're quilting a lot of hours in a day, you're quilting through a project and you're doing different types of quilting, it is so nice to be able to adjust those handlebars. One of the things that's really great about it is you can do a slight adjustment every hour or so. And at the end of the day, you don't have stiff shoulders from holding exactly that same position the whole day. You also have the ability to drop the handlebars clear down and do things like micro quilting, that really fine detail, even ruler work. I love to drop my handles for. I tilt my handles actually in. I have a little bit of that good old carpal tunnel that a lot of us that do a lot of things with our hands end up with. And I know for me, having my hands in this kind of a position when I'm quilting really helps with that fatigue at the end of the day. So having that option is fantastic. Another thing that it's really great for is if you have a friend that is going to be coming over and using your machine occasionally, who is like Sarah and I at different heights, you can adjust those handlebars so that they're comfortable without having to worry about adjusting your frame, because adjusting your frame is a little bit different.
Ooh,
we have a question.
What are the max number of stitches you can have on an Amara before it wears out?
Oh, wow.
Okay, so the question is a max number of stitches on the Amara before it wears out. So I'm assuming we're talking about lifetime stitch counts.
Yeah.
So do you want to tackle that, or do you want me to?
Well, I don't know that we've actually had a machine in the history of Handi Quilter that we've had one that's come in and we've been like, oh, you just hit 400 million stitches. Sorry, it's done. No. We have machines that come in routinely that have well over 100 million stitches, and they're doing just fine.
Yeah. So I will say in development, one of the things that we did to do some basic longevity testing of new machines before they're released is we kind of had to guesstimate how many stitches might kind of a above average quilter do every year over the course of 15 years. So we somewhere guesstimated around 10 million stitches a year over the course of 15 years. So 150 million stitches. We do all of that basic before we actually, don't tell anybody, before we ever do any sort of maintenance outside of just putting some oil into bearings, just to see how far they will run if they're not even babied all that much. So we run these things into the ground. We always joke, I love this story. There is a group that has a very old HQ16, and they use it, I think, on their, it's an enclosed porch, but it's a porch, and it comes in, and it was number like 300 or something, serial number. It was one of the first few hundred HQ16s ever made. They bring in it every year. I don't know how many stitches, I wouldn't even dare to say, but it just gets a nice little tune up and it just keeps on going. So I don't know if we've really ever maxed out.
That's honestly, I actually remember an HQ16, a vintage one that came in that had like 190 million stitches on it. They replaced the foam on the handlebar, oiled her up, and sent her back into service. So as long, I think the moral of the tale is, as long as your machine is properly maintained and taken care of, they will last generationally, I would dare say.
And I think it's a lot like your car. Right? There's bearings, there's moving parts on the inside. You do want to take care of them. We recommend every year or two, you take it into your local technician, kind of have them do, it's almost like an oil change for your car. If you ever notice anything sounding a little suspicious or weird, I would have them take it in and get a little tune up. But other than that, they are really low maintenance. So Kim, since we're talking about maintenance, what is, from a quilter, from just a quilter perspective, what should a normal, maybe daily, monthly, whatever maintenance look like on all of our machines?
So what we teach is there's only one place you need to oil. It's right in the bobbin race, which is right on the bottom of the bobbin. Every time you put a new bobbin in, that's the only time you actually oil it. And then keep it dusted and cleaned. But really, that's all you have to do to maintain it. As Sarah mentioned earlier, be sure to replace your needle.
Needle.
About every quilt, you know, if you're quilting smaller quilts, sure, you can get away with 2, but you do a king size quilt, by the time you're done with that, trust me, that needle's hammered.
Just get a new needle.
Yep, get a new needle. But other than that,
yeah, I use every time in between each bob and change. So I clean it out just with a little brush or some canned air, depending upon which machine I'm using. I put a little dab of oil in the race, and that's really about it.
Yep.
My house, I am doing some remodeling. So every time I go to use it, I do dust down the machine, but also on the frame on the tracks. I do go ahead and I clean off the track and make sure there's nothing caught up in the wheels. Things happen. My house is kind of a mess. But other than that, that's about it. We have another question.
So somebody commented that they feel they want to get a Longarm, but they're overwhelmed with trying to learn. So let's say, what does somebody do after they buy a Longarm to start learning how to Longarm?
Great. So the general question, I'll try to summarize, is somebody would really like to have a Longarm, but is very intimidated and is wondering, how do I get the information? What do I do? How do I prepare myself? What do I do once I buy it?
Yeah. Okay. Well, one of the best things about our machines is they all come with training and education. So when you purchase a Handi Quilter Longarm machine, one of the things, and this is one of the reasons why we work with our big network of retailers, they do training with you on how to use the machine. They're going to make sure that you know how to do all the basic maintenance stuff that we've just talked about. They're going to make sure that you understand everything that's on the screen and how to move around and navigate in there and how to do some basic quilting with it. We've got you covered. Then on top of that, we have so many great education resources. And the thing is, that's really nice about this is you can move at your own pace. So start with the training that comes from the retailer. And then you could plan, perhaps your retailer is having a hands-on event coming. You could plan to attend that. In the meantime, if you want to just do small bites of stuff, be sure to go to our YouTube channel. We have a series called the Watch and Learn Quilting Show, which those videos are anywhere from 5 minutes all the way up to, I think our longest ones are about 45 minutes. Most of them are under 20 minutes long. They're pretty short, sweet, and to the point. But they show you all different kinds of quilting techniques. So you can do it in just like little bite-sized pieces, and you can do a little bit at a time and just practice. But as Sarah said earlier, the number one most important thing with learning how to longarm quilt is don't be afraid of the machine. Just load something and start quilting. Remember, every dog or cat deserves their own quilt. We're both pet owners. We can say this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with knowing that something that you're quilting is even going to end up at, say, for example, your local animal shelter, because it's just something for you to learn on. I quilt a lot of things that end up at the local animal shelter, just so that everybody knows. I love doing stuff like that because I just have fun and quilt on plain fabric. I just play around with it, but it's the practice. And then when you have a question or you want to learn a new technique, go to our YouTube channel and get inspired.
Yeah, I think that's it. Local retailers, a lot of them will have classes. They might have longarm groups that meet once a month. Our website, there's lots of tutorials. There's other people out there as well that have wonderful learning channels as well. You mentioned the local retailer group. They have local classes. There's also national shows that we go to. We take a truck worth of machines. You can take classes there. And really, it's just practice. That's all it is. I think it can be really intimidating when we've spent decades piecing quilt tops. And do you remember, I remember my very first quilt top. Wasn't all that great. Points didn't match. It was wavy. Maybe even had a hole because my 1/4-inch seam.
Not quite.
Right. And you know what? If I were to put that on the very first time that I used the longarm machine to finish my quilt, it would probably match up the same way. Right. It may not be exactly what you see in the magazines, on the Instagram, at shows, whatever it may be. Right. But you'll get there eventually, and it's practice. I love using panels for that as well. Things that you don't care about. Question.
People are asking, Sarah, how do you decide what features to add to machines that will come out in the future?
Oh, great question. The question is how do we decide which features to add to machines in the future? Well, number one, we're quilters. We have things that we would like. We are friends with quilters. We're in guilds. We hear from you guys. Anytime that you guys are at a show and you tell somebody, if you email us, whatever it is, we have a very, very giant master spreadsheet of things that people want. We also do a survey every year where we will go in and we will ask things and find out. We listen to our retailers. So really it's kind of like almost a crowdsourcing type thing. So once we have all of the things that people want and kind of how often we hear about it or how loud they are about it, that helps us prioritize what people want. And then there's the matching up to what is actually capable. I think the number one request that we get is a never-ending bobbin, right? And wouldn't that be nice? And just it's not possible in the way that we think of a sewing machine and a stitch today. There are alternatives, but generally speaking, quilters don't like the way that those stitches look. So it's, do you have a bigger bobbin? So that's one thing up. What our bobbins are the M class, which are larger than the standard sewing machine bobbin. Some of the other features that we get requested are, help in the threading area or things like that. And so, we work with the engineers about what we can and can't do, what's possible, how much people are willing to pay for something. There is a lot of R&D costs as well as expenses that go into it. So it's really a balancing game.
Definitely. But the one thing, the major underlying thing here is know that quilters are very involved in this process. We're the ones saying, no, move that priority to the top, because we know that is something that quilters really, really want, is something that we really, really want. And so we really, really do listen.
We're at shows a couple times a year. We talk to quilters. We always want to hear from you guys. It helps us know what the priorities are out there.
Definitely. So, okay. So the Amara 20, we've talked about the lighting, adjustable handlebars, programmable, the big
needle laser,
pinpoint needle laser, big
thread,
big display, colorful display.
And then let's see, so that's the 20-inch. And tell me, Kim, what is the difference between an Amara 20-inch and an Amara 24-inch?
4 inches.
Oh, so are you saying that all of the features between the 20 and the 24 are the same?
Yes, they are.
So the speed, the thread tie-off, the adjustable handlebars, the pinpoint needle laser, the light, everything, the display, everything is the same between the 20 and the 24, except for an additional 4 inches of throat space.
4 inches of throat space.
And the frame it comes on, but we're going to get there in a minute.
Exactly.
Now, tell me why somebody would want to go from a 20-inch and what the pros and cons are of the 20-inch versus going up to the 24-inch.
Okay, so this is a really good question that we get all the time. So I quilt on a 24. Sarah quilts on a 24.
I quilt on the 24 as well.
So one of the reasons why the 24 gets chosen is because you want to be a speedier quilter. So you can quilt larger designs in one throat space, so you can get more quilts finished more quickly, which is really nice. Also, just taking advantage of that extra space. A lot of people who buy 24s quilt for others. And whether they do this, just maybe they do charity quilts, maybe they do run a business, maybe they just quilt for a handful of friends and family. But this allows you to just get more quilts done more quickly. Now, one of the reasons why a lot of people buy the Amara 20 is because they really love to do the free motion quilting. Now, remember, you can put a pro stitcher on both of these. But if I am going to be doing free motion quilting all day long. And I am one of the rare people who has this option. You do too. When I come in here in the education studio, I have one of all of these machines. And so if it's one of those lucky days that I actually get to come in and quilt and I can pick what I'm going to quilt on, if I'm going to be doing free motion, I pick the Amara 20. It's a little bit of a lighter machine, a little bit easier to move around. I can quilt with it all day and I just love it. One of the things to understand is this really big throat space, fantastic when you're free motion quilting too. But your best free motion quilting takes place in about the 12 inches right in front of you. I am not going to get my best quality quilting being a long arm quilter with my arms clear out here.
Right. Okay? Leaning over at the back.
Exactly. So if I'm going to be doing a lot of free motion quilting, Amara 20 is definitely my go-to. If I'm going to be adding in pro stitcher and maybe leaning a little more towards doing more pro stitcher all the time, I'm going to take advantage of the 24.
And like you said, you can have larger larger quilt patterns that you're doing. It helps when you're nesting things. So if you have something that kind of is doing this and the next one needs to do this, you can go ahead and make those a little bit taller and not run out of throat space. It's less you have to advance your quilt as well. And that really can be a time suck as well. So again, I like it. Free motion. You know, even when you're free motioning on the 24-inch, there are a couple nice features. Sometimes it's nice to be able to visually see where you're coming and you're going. Like if you're repeating patterns, or if you're connecting, if you're really creative, and you're bringing in an element from over here and something from over here. So you do have more visual aspect of it as well. And if you're using big rulers, you have more space to use those in there. So it's not that the 24 does not have its bonuses for free motion. But it certainly has its upsides when you put Pro Stitcher on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. And I do a fair amount of free motion quilting on my 24, and I love it. I'm just not taking advantage of all of that throat space when I'm free motion quilting.
All right. What accessories does the Amara machine come with? Do you want to?
I'm going to let you
take a stab at that. Okay. So the accessories that it comes with is it just basically comes with everything that you need to go with the machine to get started, right? So it has the machine. It'll have the frame that you choose. It has the bobbin winder. So it'll bind. I wish it bound.
I wish.
It'll wind the bobbins for you of whatever thread that you're using. It does come with a free thread pack from Superior Threads. So you can sample some different threads, some lighter weight, heavier weight, things like that. It comes with 2 packs of needles, and it comes with what we call our closed toe and open toe foot. So those are kind of like the 2 basic feet that come with the machine. And then of course, whatever frame you get, if it comes with leaders, quilting pins, things like that, that's what's going to come basic with your machine. Do you want to talk about some of your favorite accessories that
we can add,
that you would add or recommend adding to somebody who's first purchasing a machine?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always ask, are you planning on doing any ruler work? And do you want that precision of quilting with rulers? If the answer is yes, then you absolutely want to add a ruler base and a surefoot. So the surefoot has a taller profile down on the bottom of it. So you're less likely to have a ruler pop over that and have a little, not fantastic event where that needle hits the ruler. Yeah, it's a little scary. Kind of jump scares you a little bit, as my kids would say. So that is something I would definitely add. Another thing that I always want to add is a horizontal spool pin. So that's a little something that we just stick on, and we can actually put it on any of them. It just clips right on here, and it allows you to use thread off of a spool. So when you have a cone that is cross-wound, it's appropriate and correct to pull that thread up off the top of the cone. It doesn't add any extra twist to the thread. But if I take a stack wound, like a regular spool of thread where it is straight wound all the way through, and I pull that up, it adds an extra twist to that thread. And these machines, they are high speed, as we've been talking about. And that can add some extra stress onto the thread, and you might end up with some tension issues and maybe even your thread shredding or breaking because of that. So adding that horizontal spool pin lets it pull off appropriately so that you don't add the extra twist. That's something I would definitely add. Other of the feet. Let's talk about all the different feet.
Yeah, if you do Pro Stitcher, or really if you're doing any free motion, the glide foot is by far my favorite foot. It's always on my machine unless I'm doing ruler work, and then I put the shore foot on. Other than that, I'm a glide foot gal. And what it is it kind of has a plastic bowl that's clear that you can see through. And so it has this bowl shape, so it's not getting kind of stuck or folding over things. So if you have applique, if you have bumpy seams that are maybe a little big, things like that, it really just smooths over those really nicely, and it glides. Definitely recommend for the Pro Stitcher, because maybe you're not watching it while it's happening to prevent something. We have another question. Yes, Brianne.
Does the regular Moxie have a space for the spool?
The question is, does the Moxie line have a spot for the horizontal spool pin?
Yes, absolutely. You can put it on any of our machines. You can just clip it onto any of the spool pins right here. You can just clip it on there. So yeah, easy peasy. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so some of the other feet that are really fun to play with. I like you said, I use the glide foot whenever I'm using my Pro Stitcher. I love the ruler foot, the Surefoot for when I'm doing rulers. Occasionally when I do rulers, I will freely admit I don't use rulers as much as some people do, but I do.
I do like rulers.
Occasionally break out a ruler. The other foot that I use a lot, surprisingly, is the micro foot, which I really love. When I am doing fine detailed work, there's nothing better than the micro foot because it gives you basically 360-degree visual of exactly where you're placing every single stitch. Some other really fun feet are the Echo feet. They allow you to gauge that space very easily. We've got the square feet. So if you are one of those people who's like, I just like to get quilts done, well, you can piece right on the frame with that. It's fantastic. You can put binding on while it's in the frame, which is fantastic because you've got that straight edge. And then we have our couching feet, which are so popular.
Yes.
Adding couching to a quilt, it just adds this little extra fun pop.
I love them for all things I always think about for any sort of holiday. So basically you're using yarn and you're stitching the yarn down. So I love it when there's like a Santa beard or an Easter bunny tail with the white fluffiness. I don't know, for some reason I always get really inspired with different sort of holiday items, particularly if you're doing pillows, throw pillows, or like a wall art or something like that. I really, really like it for those instances.
It's really fun. You can add an extra layer of texture to your quilt. It's really fun. And then we have for specialty, for those people who really want to do something different with a long arm, we have the felting foot, which allows you, it's like doing needle punch felting, but you do it with the machines. And so you can load that quilt top, you can do it right there, and then you can switch to a different foot and do some decorative quilting on top of that. So if you are somebody who likes to do wool projects, that felting foot, it's really, really fun.
Whether it's a quilt or if you're prepping something to be sewn into a bag or something like that, it's very popular for those uses.
Exactly. So all the feet are great.
And then of course, again, my very practical little self, go ahead and get yourself some extra needles, get yourself extra bobbins as well. You won't regret either of those decisions.
No, those are things that you're always going to be using and you'll be happy you have more on hand for sure. Always recommend those. On both of the Amaras, you can absolutely add a quilt from the back kit. So if you want to do pantographs or groovy boards, you can easily do that. And you can add pro stitchers, of course, to both of these machines.
And Pro Stitcher on sale right now. So now is a great time to either add Pro Stitcher onto your machine that you have at home or to go ahead and buy a Pro Stitcher and a machine. Again, our prices are going up July 1st. So now is a great time, and it's an extra great time if you're doing anything with Pro Stitcher. It's even more discounted right now. So highly recommend that. I bet Brianne is going to go ahead and put the number in the comment section that you can call. You can talk to one of our sales team members. They can walk you through which machine is right for you, who your local retailer is, all of those sort of things, and help talk you through any pricing or any other questions that you may have. And again, all of our machines right now, Pro Stitcher or not, will come with free shipping if you purchase during this time frame.
Exactly. And that is a discount of hundreds of dollars. The shipping. These are big machines. These are not your little
it's not
portable
Amazon overnight free shipping.
No.
And again, we just talked about accessories. All of our accessories on handyquilter.com are 15% off with the HQQF code. And I bet Brianne will add that in the comments as well. I just got some thumbs up.
I know.
So that's fantastic.
Exactly. Okay. So if you're interested in any of the feet or the other accessories, don't forget about batting scissors. Seriously, one of my favorite things that we sell. I love the batting scissors. They're fantastic. All of that stuff, 15% off.
Another question.
What would you say to somebody that is asking that they're worried that they should go with the Moxie because the Amara might be too much machine?
Oh, the question is should I go with the Moxie? Maybe the Amara is too much of a machine. How would you respond to that?
So I always like to ask a few questions here. So sorry to answer a question with a question, but I guess some of the things to ask yourself is, number one, how much space do you have? Because a Moxie obviously has a smaller footprint than an Amara. Then I would ask, how many quilts do you currently make? If you only do, a smaller number of quilts a year, and you're not planning on quilting for other people or more, a Moxie might be a really great fit for you. If you are somebody who Maybe you've already been quilting on your home machine for quite a few years and you already have some experience with that, and you do a little bit more volume and you just want some of the bells and whistles that come with the Amara. Absolutely. One thing to remember is none of these machines are more difficult to operate than another one. They all turn on and off exactly the same way. There's a button over here on the right-hand side. It's what we'd like to call the play pause button. You turn it on and you start moving the machine and the machine stitches. And when you're done, you turn it off. That is exactly the same from the Moxie all the way up to our top of the line machine, the Infinity. All the other features we're talking about are extras.
Yeah.
And just because you have these incredible adjustable handlebars doesn't mean that you have to adjust your handlebars every single time you quilt. You don't have to stop and do that all the time. You don't have to do that. So don't don't let features overwhelm you or make you feel like, oh, I wouldn't be able to handle that machine. Sometimes you just want more throat space. You want a little better lighting. So
I
the Amara
compare it
20
a
can
lot
be a good
to deciding what kind of car to buy. It's very similar, right? Every car has a button that turns it on, or a key that
something,
right? And you have a gas pedal and you're going, right? And if you get in your car once every month to go to the grocery store, you may not put a lot of value on having, a smoother ride, one with more bells and whistles, with the seat heater, with the windshield wipers that go automatic, or I don't know, I'm dreaming big here because my car doesn't do any of that.
And mine doesn't either.
But I should matter to me because you know what? I spend a lot of time in my car, right? I commute here every day. It's 35 minutes to get here and 48 minutes to get home. I drive my daughter around a lot to her things. I travel a lot. I go on hikes. I spend a lot of time in my car. So some of those extra features, having a butt warmer, those sort of things are worth it for me. And so I'm going to do it. So it's what you find valuable and what you have in your budget and how big of a garage you have.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing to remember too is if you buy a Moxie XL and you use it in a few years, just like Sarah's talking about, okay, my first car is not nicer than the car that I drive now. Let's just put it that way. There's nothing wrong with knowing that maybe down the road you might decide to upgrade. That is actually super common where people buy a machine and not a pro stitcher, maybe not yet, but down the road, that's a feature that you add. So
my first long arm before I ever started at Handi Quilter, I went on to, it's a local classified thing. It's KSL around here. And I found a woman just down the street who was selling her HQ16 because she was buying, I think, a Fusion at the time. And I bought it and I got comfortable with it and I knew it, or I got to know it. And I was like, yes, I am using this. This is important to me. And then I ended up buying a Fusion as my next machine. And then now I'm with the Amara 24. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Do you think that you have to start a long-arm quilting business if you get an Amara 24?
Oh, question is, do you think you need or should start a long-arm business if you get an Amara 24 machine?
Absolutely not. You don't have to. No. A lot of people will buy the bigger machine because that's what fits their quilting style. It fits in their space and it fits in their budget. So don't feel like just because you buy one of the bigger machines, you have to quilt a lot for others. Here's a little secret I'll let you guys in on. I started a quilting business in 2016 on an Avante. It was an 18-inch throat space, so equivalent of the Moxie XL with a pro stitcher. And I quilted a lot for others on that machine. When I eventually upgraded to an Amara 24, that's actually when my quilting slowed down for customers, believe it or not, because I started working here is what it was. So although I do have an Amara 24, I only quilt for a few people. And let's be honest, it's like my aunt and my mom and one good friend. So just because you own one of the bigger machines does not mean you have to run a business or feel obligated to run a business. If this is the machine you want and it is the right fit for you, it's the machine you should get.
If you have the space and the budget, and particularly if you're putting a pro stitcher on it, it's all yours. Do it yourself. Why not?
Exactly. Exactly.
It makes things so much easier. No regrets.
Totally agree with you on that one.
All right. Well, Ken, there's one machine that is not here that we have not talked about. So we have a third family. I think our helpers are going to come over. So we'll let. I think they're going to wheel away and wheel in something. This is exciting.
I know.
So you've heard me talk about this. You heard me talk about when I first started, 12, 13 years ago, I was brought on. Hang on. I just caught on that.
All right, we're catching,
Sorry, didn't
working
wanna-
a little bit with some
didn't want
cords and
to,
stuff here.
Yeah, have all the lights come crashing down there. Was to help get the Infinity machine out the door and into customers' hands. So this has been out on the market. I think we're coming up on like a dozen years.
Yeah.
It's probably been 11 and a half years or
Mhm,
so.
mhm.
And this is the Infinity machine. Before we get started, guys, I'm going to give you some insider first
Ooh.
knowledge here. You ready for this?
Drum roll.
Drum roll. First time we've publicly announced this at all, but we are ending the Infinity 26 model. So again, it's 12 years. We've incorporated a lot of the features that were first to market in this into the Amara and into the Moxie lines. And we're really excited. Well, we're not excited to see it go.
No.
Necessarily. I'm going to miss like my first child
I
here, my
know,
little baby.
I know.
But new, greater things are coming. But that does mean that we are going to run an end of model clearance for the Infinity machine. So to take advantage of that, go ahead, call the line. I bet Brianne's going to go ahead and pop that in again for me. So you're going to save, if you bundle this with an Infinity with a Pro Stitcher, you're going to save $7,500. That's like mind-boggling amount of money that you're going to save. We're also going to throw in that free shipping. And I'm going to add 2 extra things. I'm going to add that glide foot in for free because again, you're going to run a lot of Pro Stitcher here. And number 2, we're going to throw in $500 worth of free digital designs from Pro Stitcher Patterns.
And that is huge, you guys. So not only does this come with close to 1,000 designs in Pro Stitcher Premium, because that is the system that comes with this, you have another $500 to spend on the fabulous designs we have at Pro Stitcher Patterns. If you go to prostitcher.com, you can start building your dream wish list of those right now.
Yeah. All right, so let's walk through some of these features. Now, some of them are, again, they're going to sound familiar because this was first to market for a lot of things. This was the fastest machine out on the market at the time, 3,100 stitches per minute. So super fast. I've met one quilter.
Me too. One
that
quilter.
was like, I want it to go faster. Good for her. It was the first with the throat lighting. It was the first with the ergonomical adjustable handlebars right there. It was the first with the pinpoint needle laser. With the thread tie-off buttons, with the programmable buttons. Had the 7-inch display with it. And it comes with the thread cutter for the bobbin thread. Or the push of a button, it cuts your thread at the bottom there, which is great if you're just doing edge to edges. You don't have to bring up your thread to cut it. Huge time saver there. As well as it has a camera at the bottom that you can see your tension, your bottom thread on the back of your thread. Or back of your quilt sandwich, excuse me, which is also a huge deal because tension, you got to fine tune it. You got to get it right. And that didn't have to look under as much. So, again, this was all first to the market features out there. A lot of them have been incorporated in our other families of machines. Still a wonderful, wonderful machine. If you have been thinking about it or dreaming about it, this is the time to get it. We only have a few left that we're able to build. So this is a great time to go ahead and get one of those. As far as what may be coming, I think we're going to maybe hold off on that for a little bit, but keep your eye out on that one.
Definitely, definitely. 2 other things that I absolutely love about this machine. The thread mast here actually has a little knob down here. So depending on how long your long arms are as a quilter, you can actually adjust where that is going to be so that it's easier for you to thread your machine. And then we also have a digital tensioner. So you do the tension changes on the screen. So it's very nice. We also have built in right here underneath the handlebars, we have built-in lighting here at the needle and in the throat space. And these ones here also have the option that you can turn off the regular lights and you can turn on black lights. So if you're doing things like white on white quilting and you want to mark it with a white pencil, I know that sounds crazy, but it really is a thing. You can easily see with those black lights. You can even use white pounce on white fabric. And I'll tell you what, if you love to have your quilting really pop, you quilt on white. Oh, it really pops. You have that awesome feature to be able to do that. Which is really cool.
Okay, well, this is the Infinity. It really is just a workhorse. Almost all of them that go out the door are with a Pro Stitcher. And again, that's that big throat space that we've talked about. So Infinity 26 guess what? It is a 26-inch throat space, which you get, 20 some odd inches of quilting space in there.
Yep.
You rarely are going to have to move back and forth to quilt an entire block. It's totally set up to work with the Pro Stitcher as well. It's all integrated. So it's a really great machine. Again, if you've been thinking about it, now's a really great time to jump on that. It's not going to get any better of a deal.
I know.
Yeah.
I keep wondering.
I know. I'm like,
do I need one?
I know. Yeah.
Need isn't the word I should use.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this machine. Another thing that's really cool with the programmable handlebars, there's actually the option, as long as you have a Pro Stitcher added to it, that you can have these programmable buttons be your channel locks. So if you're somebody who likes to do that straight line quilting, you can absolutely just make those changes back and forth on the fly, which is really, really nice. Yeah. Love that.
All right, Brianne, is there any questions on the machines before we move to the frames that we have not? Okay, okay. So now we're going to switch a little bit. We've talked about the 3 families of machines. Now we're going to go backwards through those. So we'll start with the Infinity, and we'll talk about the different frame options that go with each. And this is important because number 1, you got to have a frame that fits your machine. And number 2, you got to make sure that it's going to fit in the space that you have in your home, basement, garage, wherever you're putting it. All right. So which frame comes with the Infinity 26?
So currently it comes with the Gallery 2 frame. And some of you are like, why is it called the Gallery 2? Well, originally we came out with a Gallery frame and then we added some extra improvements on it. So the Gallery 2 frame is what comes with this. It's available in either 10, 12, or 14. I had to remember there for a second. So if you want to do some serious big quilts, like king size bedspreads
with a drape
to the floor, we got you covered. I love the Gallery frame though. It has 2-inch diameter poles on them. They're really tough and rigid, and we had to have a little bit of a bigger frame to support the bigger machine. This baby's pretty heavy.
It's big, it's heavy, and on the smaller frames it could just teeter on and off, so it required a little bit bigger of a frame and huskier of a frame. So this tabletop is deeper than other frame systems that we're going to talk about. It has the 2-inch poles, which means that it could stay nice and flat without any sagging to go to that 14 feet. Just so we're clear, the 10 or the 12 foot comes standard. It's the same price for either one. If you want to go up to a 14 foot, there is, I think it's like a $500 charge to go up to that as well. If for some reason you're like, oh, I can't fit a 10, you could set it up as an 8 as well if you wanted to. You would just, not set up the 2-foot section in there.
Exactly. And that is one of the nice things is you have the flexibility with our frames. They come in 4-foot and 2-foot sections. So you can be a little creative with how you set it up so that it will fit. The Gallery 2 frame is really great. There's some great accessories you can add to it. You can add secret drawers, which are fantastic. They can open to the back or to the front of the frame. And remember, all of our frames are included with the machine. This is not an extra price unless you're adding that one that's a little bit longer. But you can add a secret drawer, you can add the highlights, you can add a handy hammock. All of our frames, the Gallery 2 frame does come with a batting pole also. So if you are like us and you buy your batting by the roll, you can just in multiple rows.
Bamboo one weight, bamboo another weight, cotton poly blend.
Well, that's what I have underneath mine. Yeah, exactly. But you can have your batting stored underneath there on the pole, so it's easy to pull it out and measure it and cut it and use it that way. So and they're the height is adjustable.
Correct.
So you can set it up so that it's comfortable for you. Now I know when I say that, the next question is going to be, how do I know what height to set up my frame at? Well, we recommend that you set it up so that when your hands are on the machine, they're at basically a 90-degree angle. So actually, this machine setting on top of this table right here is about the right height for me.
It's a little tall for me.
It's a little tall for you, exactly. Now, these handlebars are adjustable, so you can make some slight adjustments for that, but you usually want it set up there. Another thing to remember is people tend to think that a machine on a frame, you have to stand at it. Do you have to stand up?
No,
you don't.
You don't have to.
Trust me, you really don't. I have a chair and I pretty much do all of my quilting sitting down. I load standing up because I'm moving around a lot. But once I start quilting, when I'm sitting and doing stuff with my pro stitcher, or I'm doing ruler work or micro quilting, I am 100%, because you're just sitting in one place.
Yeah.
And
if you're doing like some custom areas, if you're doing some detailed work, for sure.
Yep, absolutely. So don't think just because you are somebody that maybe it isn't comfortable to stand for long periods of time, that having a machine on a frame would not work for you, because trust me, you can sit most of the time while you're quilting without any problem at all.
Yeah. So again, those are the 10, 12 is standard. You could do 8. You could also go up to 14. As far as the depth that we want you to have here, we want you to have like 5.5 feet. Okay. And then we want you to have a couple feet on one side to be able to kind of get to the side so that you're able to advance your quilt. So that's kind of the space that you're going to need there. Did we have a question back there, Brian?
Yeah. Question about will the Moxie XL handlebars adjust?
The question is, will the Moxie XL handlebars adjust? They do not.
They do not.
They are stable, stable in place. Yeah.
Yes.
Not movable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, let's talk for a second, because I just thought of another question people might have about frames. What if you are in a little bit of a tight place and you know you'll have enough room if you could pull your machine out from your frame out from the wall while you're quilting, but then you want to be able to tuck it back out of the way. You can put casters on our frames, and so you can have that ability to move it around a little bit like that. Yeah,
that's really great. We also have some additional accessories. We have the board that goes on the back so that you're able to utilize that space. You can do some cutting with it. You could do some pressing, ironing, so that you can also utilize this space safely without risking damage to your tracks as well, since we know it's going to take up a chunk of your sewing room.
Exactly. They do take up a fair amount of space. On the website, if you go to the separate pages for each machine, there's a little thing that you can click on, and it will actually show you about what the footprint would be for that machine on the frame. As Sarah said, it's about 5.5 feet wide, and about, depending on the frame size you want. If you want a 10-foot frame, you should plan for at least 12 feet of space, as she mentioned, so that you can get around to the one side so you can advance easily.
I've measured it out, put like painter's tape on the ground to just kind of visualize and see how it's going to fit in a space. Did we have another question?
Won't you unbalance the machine and cause issues if you keep moving your long arm back and forth?
Yeah, so the question is there concern if you have your frame with casters that it will unbalance or it'll move around? Do you want to tackle that, or?
Sure. So I had my first original machine, I had my Avante, was on casters. And although I would pull it out and push it back in, because I did it pretty much always in the same pattern, I really didn't have any issues with that. It's not like you're going to be taking these machines and moving them all over the place. Chances are you're going to be sliding them maybe a few feet at the most. So there's really not problems with that.
And it would just be like anything. If you have a really unlevel floor, you're going to need to balance. You are able to make adjustments on each foot, and you're still able to do that with casters. The casters do have a locking mechanism, so it's no different than like these sort of standing desks. Once you lock them, you're able to just go ahead and they function just like a normal frame desk would.
Yep.
Yeah, we haven't encountered anything negative with those.
No real worries with that.
Of course, the frame comes with a leader set. The nice thing about the gallery, and I think the studio frame, what we'll talk to first, it has a longer leader that is for your backing bar, so that you're not having to reach over quite as much to pin your backing to the leader that's farthest away from you. And then of course you have your leaders for the top, the bottom of your top, and then the the bottom as well. Boy, that makes zero sense, but I think it does.
Three liters.
3 liters is what you need.
3 liters is what you need.
Now, if some of you might have heard the term "I'm a floater," and what that is saying, that is maybe they don't always actually pin their quilt top onto a leader and they just let it hang. You can do that. We also sell some accessories that will clamp down on the pole so that it's not shifting. So really what we try to do is have as much flexibility and the basic accessories so that you can finish the quilt in the way that feels most comfortable for you.
Exactly. One of the other great things about the Gallery 2 frame, and we also have this on the Studio 2 frame, is you can actually switch between 2 different modes of loading. So you can load in what we call standard, which puts the backing pole closest to you, and then the quilt top pole, the next one in, and then the batting feeds through. Or you can do an adjustment over on the side arm, and it's really easy to do. It really is. It's yep. You just kind of unlock and slide it down into place. It moves it into clear view, and clear view allows you to have a perfectly flat all the way across the top. So if you're somebody who likes to quilt a lot with rulers, you're not going to be bumping into that top pole, any of those kind of things. Personally at home, I leave my machine in clear view because I like the visibility all the way. And if you are somebody who does occasionally or all the time likes to float your quilt top, having it in clear view makes it a little bit easier, because you don't have that extra pole in the way.
I'm a floater, and so that's how I generally keep mine. You may say, well, then why would you ever go back to standard view? The downside of the clear view is there are poles that are a little bit lower. So when you want to look or reach for your bobbin, it kind of creates a larger hook spot that you have to kind of get back up to, whereas in the standard view, it's easier to access and see your bobbin area.
Exactly.
Brianne, questions?
What is the difference between Studio 2 and Gallery frame?
Okay.
Great. So that was a question that'll lead us right into it. So the question was, what's the difference between the Studio 3 and the Gallery 2 frame? So the Gallery frame goes with the Infinity and with the Amara 24. And again, it's going to have this wider top here for the longer throats of machines and heavier. It has the 2-inch diameter poles. That's what's going on with that. Okay. Then we have the Studio 3 frame, and that goes with the Amara 20-inch machine. It's not going to be as deep here, and it has 1.5-inch poles, diameter poles.
And it's available in 10 and 12 foot options.
It does not go up to the 14 foot.
Yes, exactly. And one thing to note here is that the Gallery goes with the Infinity and the Amara 24. It does not fit the Amara 20. So just know that you can't.
There's not really options.
Yeah, there's not an option there. So
your option is how wide you want it to be.
Exactly. And just like the Gallery frame, the Gallery 2 frame that we've been talking about, the Studio 3 frame has the ability to switch between standard view and clear view. One of the things
casters on it.
You can put casters on it. You can add an accessory tray to it. You can put the Handi hammock on it. It does come with the Super Leader set, which is really great. One of the things I really love about the Studio 3 frame that we did, because we redesigned this, it's been just over a year.
Yeah, year and a half or so.
We integrated the highlight into it. So the highlight is no longer a set of lights that sit outside of the frame. There's a little bracket that's right inside the frame, and it just snugs right in there. So if you are a little bit squeezed for space, you don't have to have that little bit of extra, that couple of extra inches on each side, because it's integrated right into the frame.
It's not just the space. I was always stubbing my toes on it, which is why I said I want that integrated.
Exactly.
So that's available with our Studio 3 frame only right now. And so it's a light bar. It's really easy to put together and set up. Again, never enough light as far as I'm concerned. I love all the light.
I do too.
And that is an additional accessory. It does not come standard with the Studio 3 frame.
All
right. Well, since we're talking a little bit about the Studio 3 frame, which machines go on the Studio 3 machine? The Studio 3 frame.
So it's the Amara 20. And then there's a lot of our previous machines, retired machines that fit on that one also. So we've got the Avante, we've got the Simply 16,
HQ16,
if
you were upgrading a frame.
Yeah, if you were upgrading, if you wanted to upgrade a frame, which, by the way, if you do have an older machine and you do want to upgrade your frame, we do sell the frame separately that way. Just remember, if you're buying a new machine, the frame is absolutely included, just like the bobbin winder is.
Again, the Studio 3 frame, it comes standard 10 or 12 foot. No additional cost for either way. You cannot go up to the 14 foot. If you want a 14-foot frame, you got to go up to the Gallery. And you could also set it up as an 8 foot if for some reason that suited you better as well.
And we do actually have a lot of people that do that. It's those 4 foot sections, and that's what fits. And on an 8 foot frame, you can quilt up to a king size width. So sorry, not king size, queen size.
Well, so here's the math: is if you have 8 times 12 is that 96, and then you got to minus out some things. You got to minus out
12 inches.
12 inches. So and then plus your backing. So it's somewhere in the 80-ish range.
Exactly. Exactly.
For your shortest.
Yes.
dimension there.
So you can still do a really good size quilt on an 8-foot frame, and a 10-foot frame even. You can load wide back quilting on wide back fabric on that. I quilt on a 10-foot frame at home because that's all I had the space for. And in a lot of years, I've only ever had one quilt that I had to actually bring in and do on the 12-foot frame. I
have a 12-foot, and I've used it one time for, and it wasn't my quilt, it was a neighbor's quilt, and it was, and I think I would either just bring it in here, or if I didn't have that luxury, that one time in, gosh, 12, 13, 15 years since I've had a long arm, I would just send it out to somebody who did have it. So it's really, you know how the size of quilts that you're doing. If you're like, I always do a king size quilt, by all means do a 12 or 14 foot. But if you're like, most of us, we're doing throw to twin size, and really that 10 foot is more than sufficient. And an 8-foot might suffice as well. Another question?
Can a 12-foot frame be reduced to a 10-foot frame?
Great question. Can a 12-foot frame be reduced to a 10-foot? Yes, but you have to purchase a 2-foot section, because again, they go in 4-foot sections. So if you have a 12-foot, you have 3 4-foot. So you would need to purchase a 2-foot, and then you would remove one of the 4 and you put the 2 in there.
So it's doable.
And the same thing is if you want to go from a 10 to a 12, you actually have to buy a 4-foot section, because we don't want 2 sections in there. We don't want all those seams.
No, absolutely not. No.
All right. Next frame that I want to talk about is the Littlefoot frame. So we invented this, gosh, it's maybe been 9-ish years. Were you here? Or
no, it was just before.
So about 9-ish years. I really nailed that one.
Yeah.
And again, when we talk about people, when we talk to quilters and we talk to them about why they want or why they don't want, or things that kind of become why I can't get one, space, of course, comes into the conversation a lot. Not everybody can put an 8, 10, or 12-foot frame into their home or into their studio spaces. So the Littlefoot frame was invented for people who have a smaller amount of room. So it's a 5-foot section, and you can still quilt any size quilt. You can actually quilt any size quilt, because what it's doing is it's kind of taking a page from an embroidery hoop system. So you're pre-basting, or if you just want to wing it and just kind of put them together, that's up to you. But generally speaking, you're going to baste it ahead of time, like you would if you were putting it on a stationary machine or your home sewing machine, if you're going to quilt it that way. And then you're going to kind of plop it, for lack of better words, onto this, and then you're going to clamp it down, and then you're able to just quilt in that area. And then when you're done, you unclamp and you move it over. Very, very similar to an embroidery. So you could do a 200-inch by 200-inch quilt on it if you want. Now, which machines can go on the Littlefoot frame?
So the Amara 20 can go on the Littlefoot frame. So if you want all the features that are on an Amara 20, you can absolutely do that on a Littlefoot frame. So if you're a little cramped for space,
but you want all the bells and whistles.
Exactly. We recommend that you have about 7 feet of space so that you can get around that to be able to clamp. But I mean,
and again, like you said, I would put it on casters, I'd put it in a corner, and then just bring it out for when I'm using it. So I have the space to walk around and do what I need to.
Exactly. One of the cool things we've done too with the Littlefoot frame is the Little Buddy.
Oh yes, the Little Buddy.
So the Little Buddy is actually an integrated system in it, and it does come.
It comes standard.
If you
purchase a Littlefoot frame, it will come with our Little Buddy system, which I always have a little song.
I know.
I feel a little doll ringing in my head. But anyways, and so what that does is what goes ahead and instead of just embroidery hoop, is it gives you the ability to have the rolling, like a more traditional frame, only to that 5 feet. So you can't do that with a really wide quilt, although people do find workarounds. That's great too. But then it allows you, if you're doing small like baby quilts, wall hangings, things like that, you're able to do that in a more traditional way. And the benefit of doing that is it makes it a little easier to stay really square and keep things going with less risk of things kind of going, sideways this way, or having tucks or whatever on underneath.
And you don't have to pre-baste it. Which is a really nice thing. I know a lot of people that will choose the Little Buddy machine because they only do, like you said, baby quilts Or maybe they do a lot of charity quilts that are that size. I know a gal locally that pretty much the only quilts that she finishes are lap quilts for a cancer center that she donates all of her quilts to.
Yeah.
She does all the quilting. Her friends piece them. She does all those, and it's the perfect size for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we talked about the Amara 20 that can go on the Littlefoot frame. What other machines can go on the Littlefoot frame? Let's stick with 8-wheel carriage machines.
8-wheel carriage machines. Okay, so we have the Simply 16 and we have the HQ 16 that can go on.
And the Avante.
And
so
the Avante.
These are some of those retired machines that we've talked about. So
Exactly.
those can also go on that frame.
Yep.
Okay.
And then our next frame.
Well, we can also talk about some of the 4-wheel carriage machines that can go on the Littlefoot frame.
Yes.
So this is the one frame that kind of you can put a lot of different machines on. We make it the most flexible. You can change out the track system, and you can put the Moxie family of machines on it as well. So you could put the Moxie 15 or the Moxie XL on it. So if you're looking at a Moxie machine and you're like, gosh, I really don't have room for a more traditional 8 or 10-foot frame, you can put that on the Littlefoot frame. Now, a question that we get a lot is, with the Littlefoot frame, can I still use Pro Stitcher?
The answer is yes, absolutely you can. I know a lot of people, once again, that do this. My one recommendation would be, if you are going to use a Pro Stitcher with the Littlefoot frame, and you want to do bigger quilts, you want to do king size quilts, you want to do queen size quilts, plan on approaching it and quilting a block at a time. That is the easiest way to keep everything lined up and beautifully quilted. Edge to edge on there just presents a little bit of some extra challenges, let's put it that way.
Which are workable.
They're workable.
But if you're going to use edge to edge, we recommend something that's a little looser and that has, what is it called? The nesting.
Yes.
You don't want anything that from row to row has to touch each other or line up perfectly. You want something that's a little bit more forgiving in that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because normally with our frames, you're just going up and down this way. With the Littlefoot, if you're in the embroidery and hoop style system instead of like the little buddy, not only are you going this way, but you have to go left and right. And there is the chance that you might get a little off.
Exactly.
So it's doable.
Yes.
As well. It is easier if you're doing block to block in it or some sort of a loose edge to edge.
Exactly. But yeah, you can totally do that. I know a lot of people who do. You can put a Pro Stitcher on there. Okay, we got a question.
Somebody just asked what Quilt Canada is.
Somebody?
Sorry for the non-side.
Oh, side quest.
Side quest.
The question is what is Quilt Canada?
So Quilt Canada is the big quilt show that's happening up in Canada later this week. It's in the Toronto area, I do believe.
I think so.
I hope I'm saying that right. Okay, I'm getting the thumbs up. Yeah. And I do know Handi Quilter is going to have a nice big booth there. And we have a classroom set up there. We've got a couple of our field educators that are teaching there, and we have a bunch of our other educators there who are working in the booth. So if you have a chance to go to Quilt Canada, you should totally go, introduce yourself, get to know some of these people, and check out the machines. They're all available for test drive. And they will, of course, be having some fabulous specials because it is a big show up there at Quilt Canada this week.
All right, so I think that covered our gallery, our studio, and our Littlefoot frame, which leaves our Loft frame is the final movable machine frame. We'll get into some stationary options here in a second. So Kim, which machines go with the Loft frame? Okay,
so the Loft frame, it goes with the Moxie family to start with. So we've got the Moxie and the Moxie XL that both work beautifully on it. It comes in an 8 or 10 foot. You can go up to 10 foot. You can add that 2-foot section to it. But we do have one machine that can go.
There's always an exception.
I know,
right?
I know the exception. Just like we told you, the Littlefoot frame is the one that, you know, depending on the track you put on it, the type of system you can put on it. So you can put a Simply 16 on a Loft frame. So it changes it from the 8-wheel carriage to a 4-wheel carriage. And I know a lot of you are going, what in the world are they talking about? So the carriage is actually a part that sits underneath this machine. And the carriage allows the machine to move from side to side, whereas the machine moves from front to back. And that way you get that full motion of where you're going. So the two together is what makes it movable on that frame. And depending on the frame that you have and the machine that you have, your carriage may have 8 wheels on it, or it may have 4 wheels on it. Obviously, the lighter, smaller machines go on the 4-wheel carriages. The bigger, heavier machines go on the 8-wheel carriages.
Yep. I think that sums it up great.
Yep.
And are you able to add Pro Stitcher onto the Loft frame?
Yes, we exclusively use the Pro Stitcher Lite system on the Loft frame. Now, Pro Stitcher Lite can go on either.
Well, mostly the Moxie
Mostly the
family.
Moxie, but if you are putting a Moxie on the Littlefoot frame, you can also put Pro Stitcher Lite on that one. You can do either. So, but yeah, you can do that. And when you do that, you add the black tabletop to the back.
Comes with it.
Absolutely. It's a smaller frame, a smaller footprint. As we mentioned, it comes standard in the 8-foot size. You can add that 2-foot section, which means you can do up to, that 10-foot. So you can do up to that 104-inch wide backing. So that backing that you love to buy from your quilt shop that doesn't have to have any seams in it, you can absolutely load on a 10-foot frame. No problems.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Should we talk about our 2 stationary options?
Let's do.
So again, the stationary machine, instead of moving the machine like this, you're moving the fabric like this, and it's staying still. So it's going to be very similar to your home domestic sewing machine when you finish that way. The pros about using a long arm in that capacity instead of your home sewing machine, number one, again, that throat space, the lighting, the stitch regulation, and the speed at which you can do it, as well as it's inset in our tables. And you have more space around your table so that your quilt isn't hanging off and like pulling and jerking and being even more difficult from like your shoulders and your hands and whatnot to maneuver and keep it where you want it to go. All right, so talk through we have two different stationary tables. We have our Handi Quilter Insight stationary table. So tell us about that one.
So that one comes with the Moxie ST. And ST stands for stationary, in case you're wondering. Stationary means the machine stays put. Okay, the machine stays put. One of the things I love about quilting on a stationary machine is you can use that full throat space because there's no take-up hole or anything like that back here. So you can take advantage of that full 18 inches on the Moxie ST. It has the built-in Insight stitch regulation, which is really cool. It's these 2 little sensors right down next to the needle. And as you move as you move the fabric over it, it reads the speed of the fabric and keeps those stitches nice and consistent. Now, the Insight table is one that you can adjust up and down. It takes a little bit of help. It's usually easier with 2 people, just so you know that. And you can add a couple of cool accessories to it. You can add a small drawer over on the side, and you can add table extensions to it. So you can actually double the size of that table. So if you do like to quilt big quilts, but you need a very small footprint, it's about, isn't it 30? I would say it's 36 inches square. Yeah, 36 inches square. So if you add the 2 table extensions to the side of it, you can double that space. And the nice thing is they fold down nicely. So you could put it in a corner, in a deep closet. You can put that table on casters. It is really easy to move around. It is a fantastic setup.
Yeah, I like to think of the stitch regulation sensors as upside down mouse, like from your computer, your mouse.
Optical.
Yeah, it's that same sort of thing. It's just kind of upside down and reversed. All right, other machines that can go on the HQ Insight table. You talked about the Moxie XL. The Amara ST can also go on that one as well. In addition, if you have an older Sweet 16 that you are looking to have the integrated Insight stitch regulation, that is an available option as well to just purchase the table. So that's what's going there. All right, the next one is the stationary lift table. Tell me about that one.
So this one's really cool. This is I love this table because, and I actually have one on this. It's not plugged in, but there's just a little keypad right here that has an up and down button. And with the push of a button, the table goes up. or the table goes down. And it's got 3 different presets on it, so I can save those different heights that are perfect for me. But having that capability, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of quilting. I know when I used to quilt on my stationary machine, I would actually, my domestic machine back in the day, right before I got my first long arm, I would set a timer for myself to make myself get up and like move around and stuff. When I quilt with the lift table now, I set a timer for myself, and all I do is adjust the table a little bit, or I'll go from sitting to standing. So once again, when you are quilting at a stationary machine, people tend to think, oh, you have to sit down. You don't. You can stand up. But another thing to remember, if you are somebody who maybe has some mobility issues and getting around is a little hard, so you're thinking a stationary machine would be really nice. One of the things that's really cool with both of our tables, because we have the built-in Insight stitch regulation, on the screen, you have an on-off button. So you don't have to use the foot pedal, which is really cool.
Yep. All of these sort of things that Kim's talking about really can help go from maybe being comfortable to quilt maybe half an hour, 45 minutes to being able to quilt hours in one day. It's just those little adjustments, not being have to press your foot down for an elongated time, the ability to just kind of, it's amazing going from here to here every half an hour. It really can just take a lot of that stress off and really be able to help you finish quilts much quicker.
Exactly. And just like the Insight table, on the lift table, we can add a drawer, we can add casters, and we can add those table extensions. Now, the lift table has a little bit of a bigger footprint, just so you know. The Insight table is 36 inches, and the lift table is 38 inches.
Just a couple.
So just a couple of inches. But I'll tell you what, that couple of inches, to have that built in.
It is really nice.
It is really, really nice.
Other people like, so what Kim is saying, when you raise it up, you can either stand and you can quilt that way. So again, another opportunity to save your shoulders, but you can also clean and access the bobbin area of your machine easier too, without having, even if you're still sitting there, you can just lift it up and you can clean and oil and change your bobbin out. So it's just, it's really nice. Now, which machine is available to put on this lift?
The
lift table. Goodness.
The lift table. Have we been talking for almost 2 hours? We've been talking for a while. So it's the Amara ST. So you get all the great features that come with the Amara. You get all of that fabulous built-in light. You get 20 inches of throw space, and you can use every inch of that 20 inches, which is fantastic, especially because of the orientation of the machine, because it's straight away from you. You can really let the quilt spread this way and be able to keep things nice and smooth where you're quilting. Okay, we have a question.
We have an announcement.
Oh,
fantastic. So we're okay to talk about it?
We have some super exciting news. I think this is the first time we ever get to announce this in public.
We've toyed around with it. We've been doing it at shows. So if you've come to our national shows, you might have talked to some of our educators or our sales team there to talk about it. Maybe some select retailers have chosen to do this, or maybe they've been doing it for a while, but we really are excited. We talked about this at the beginning or maybe middle, I don't know anymore. You know, I started with an HQ 16. Maybe you'll start with a Moxie or Moxie XL, but what happens when you want to go, okay, I've outgrown that, I'm ready for more?
You can call the number that's on the screen and we can talk trade up with you. We do trade ups now. So if you call this number, we have some really great options where we can help you take that machine that has been a fantastic machine. Just like Sarah was saying, I quilted on an Avante for a lot of years, but I hit a point where I was ready for something bigger and better. And man, I wish we would have had trade up around then. So if you're thinking that it's time to trade up your machine, to level up your setup, to go to that next level and get a bigger and better machine, give us a call. Now, just a reminder, these are all the specials we've got going on right now. So we have a really special promo on
anything Pro Stitcher.
Exactly.
So Pro Stitcher by itself or Pro Stitcher paired with a machine. Great deals, up to $7,500 off.
Exactly. And we have a super special deal on this machine right now. So I'm just saying to all you out there quilting on that smaller machine that you've been saying, you know, I would do anything for an Infinity. What's going on with the Infinity right now?
End of model clearance. This is the time to get it. And what Kim's talking about is, I know when I had to go from my HQ16 to my Fusion, it was really intimidating to try to sell that machine. Like, how much do I sell it for? Oh, I now have to put this out there. I've got to talk to people, which really, they have to come to my house. Now, what's my responsibility with them? And that really just takes away all of those concerns. You'll work with us or your retailer, and we'll figure out what we can do to help get that out and put some money towards a new system.
Exactly. So with the Infinity right now, the special we've got on that, we've got a $7,500 discount.
Yep.
Plus, if you buy it now during the special and you call us, you will get $500 credit towards designs at Pro Stitcher Patterns. So on ProStitcher.com, we're going to throw in a glide foot because if you're going with Pro Stitcher, you got to have a glide foot, and
free shipping.
You get that free shipping. That is. I'm not even going to try to do the math because it's not 1/4 inch math. I can do 1/4 inch math all day long. I can't do big number math, but that is a lot of money you're saving on, as we like to call it, the Cadillac of our machine.
It is the Cadillac.
This machine has everything. It's fantastic. It's fast. It's big. It has all the bells and whistles. It's an absolutely amazing machine, and it could be yours.
Yeah, and it's while supplies last. Like I mentioned, we only have so many left that we're able to build. And so I encourage you to jump on this if it's something at all that you have been interested in. Not going to be a better deal.
Yep, exactly. So once again, really excited about actually being able to announce. I love we just got the message that we're clear to talk about the trade-ups. The trade-ups, this is a new program we're doing. It's absolutely fantastic. We want to help you find a home for that old machine. Give us a call, and our sales team is available to answer, and they will be able to help you figure out what your other machine's worth, what we can do to help you out to get you into one of these babies or one of the other machines that we've talked about here.
Yeah. All right, we have just a few minutes left. I think we kind of failed at the very beginning to talk about what's happening over the next couple of days here. So I'm going to let, we completely missed that one. So I'm going to let Kim go ahead and talk you through what we have going on this afternoon and the next couple of days. If you have any last minute questions, go ahead and type them in, and Brianne will pop them up to us for our last few minutes.
And I want to put this out there because I forgot to look over here at the board and remind myself. We're going to be doing a drawing here in just a couple minutes for a $100 gift certificate. You need to comment hashtag HQ100. Just do that as a comment, hashtag HQ100. And then you're eligible to be drawn for that $100 gift certificate, which we're going to be doing in just a couple minutes. Okay, so remind me again what else I was talking about there.
What we're doing this afternoon and the next couple of days, because we do have some really fun activities here for you guys.
We really do. So we're so excited for Quilt Fest. We're having, the live this morning with me and Sarah talking about history of Handi Quilter and our machine lineup, answering all those questions. This afternoon, we've got Sandy Rindlisbach, one of our national educators who lives here locally in Utah. She's going to come in and do some fantastic projects, showing you some of the great things that you can do with these machines. She's got a lot of really great stuff. Sandy travels all over the U.S. teaching. She is wonderful. And let me tell you something, you guys, she is the queen of the feathers. You should ask her this afternoon about some of her feather stuff. She's got some fun stuff to show you guys. She's got fantastic stuff. Tomorrow, we are going to have the fabulous Shauna Westergaard. She is another one of our national educators who happens to live here locally. She lives very close by. She is going to come in and do all kinds of fun projects for you tomorrow on the Pro Stitcher, really leaning into that Pro Stitcher. Shauna runs her own business here locally, Quilts for Others, and does patterns. I'm completely blanking on her name right now. Brianne's going to help me out. Ladybug Quilting, right?
Ladybug.
Yes, Ladybug Quilting. Okay, so you guys can look her up online. Oh my gosh. Whew. Time for me to drink some water. Shauna is going to be sharing all kinds of great stuff. I am in the throes of getting ready for Academy, which is our big conference next week. So tomorrow I'm going to be bouncing in and out, checking in with Shauna, talking over some fun stuff with you guys. So it's going to be Shauna doing a lot of great education, and I'll be doing some check-ins with her.
And some great Pro Stitcher-based projects and inspiration and some basic education. So
exactly.
Be sure to tune in for that.
It's going to be fantastic. So with that Pro Stitcher promo, you want to add a Pro Stitcher and you want some inspiration, tomorrow's the day to tune in. Then on Wednesday, we're doing our Longarm Business Quilting Summit. Longarm Business Summit. There we go. I got it. I got it. I kept looking at it all weekend. So if you're curious about a longarm business, whether you want to start one, you definitely know you don't want to start one, or you're just curious about longarm quilting business and you want to learn from a group of us, and I am going to be one of the people in this discussion, talking about our experience with turning quilting into a successful business. So if you're just curious about the process at all, you should totally tune in on Wednesday. We're going to have some of the other national educators on there with me. We're just going to be talking about all things, how we've basically turned quilting into a career. So we're going to be sharing a lot of that with you. And that's what we've got going on.
And like you said, even if you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that as a business, it's actually just really cool information to know. Yeah. And it definitely will help you appreciate the quilters out there that are doing this for a business. So yeah, it's just good insider info. And I always, whenever I listen to anything quilting related, I always learn something new that I didn't know before. So you never know what little nuggets you might find.
Definitely, definitely. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're just going to be sharing our experiences and giving you ideas if that's a route you want to go down or not.
Yeah,
either way.
All right, Brianne, do we have any last questions that have come through? Okay, we're going to draw our winner.
Ooh, winner time.
Let's see. Oh gosh, that's so fun. We get to see all sorts of all of the names
coming up there.
Okay.
So who is it?
It's like ticking down. Winner.
Barbara Wolf. Okay, so
Congratulations.
Barbara won that $100 gift certificate to handyquilter.com. Now, Brianne is going to be reaching out to Barbara. Is that correct? Oh, okay. Barbara is going to email spotlight@handyquilter.com. It's right there. So Barbara Wolf, we will be looking for your email. Congratulations, Barbara, for that $100 off. And you know what? You should totally use that this week because the 15% off.
Yep. You get
it just
15% off.
Just went that much further.
Yep. 15% off of all gadgets and accessories on handyquilter.com. Available right now with the code HQQF.
Yep. So to wrap things up here, let's just talk about, once again, about our promos and a couple of reminders. Number one thing that I want to remind you guys about is that there is going to be a price increase on July 1. You guys are all aware, everything that's going on out there, we are having to increase our prices. And we're trying to let everybody know, be fair about this, get the message out there. So all orders that ship after July 1st are going to be at a higher price. So let's talk about our promos.
All machines and gadgets, accessories. Yep. Pretty much everything will be going up.
Exactly. So our promos, once again, if you buy an Infinity, what's the special right now?
Infinity and Pro Stitcher will be $7,500 off of the normal price. It will come with free shipping. Again, that's some money. It will come with a free glide foot as well, and $500 of free digital designs through Pro Stitcher patterns.
That's an amazing deal.
Like you are set up. You're golden.
And the rest of our machines are at really great prices too, right?
Correct. And for any machine, even if it's not Pro Stitcher related right now, if you're calling in, we will do free shipping to the lower 48 states.
Exactly. And if you do want to add a Pro Stitcher to a new machine or your current machine, that's where you're really going to get some great deals, right?
Yep. And that's the same. It doesn't matter if you have an old HQ16, a red logoed or a green logoed Simply 16, any of our movable machines you can add on a Pro Stitcher, and it's a great time right now. Prices are super low.
Exactly. So I think we got everything covered. Let's get a thumbs up from Brianne. Did we just get a thumbs up? Okay.
No additional questions. All right. Well, thanks, you guys. Really appreciate you joining us this morning. And like we said, I encourage you to come back this afternoon and over the next couple days. Going to go through some great projects, some great education, and just get excited to get quilting this summer. I know I am.
I know, me too. So be sure to come back at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. Sandy is going to be joining us in the studio. And so everybody go grab a bite to eat, come back at 1, and just have fun quilting.
All right.
We'll
Thanks,
see you guys.